He drove to the gas station in a hurry, hoping to find this bag of cash. With his foot getting heavier on the accelerator, he was praying at this point that this bag was still there. Thankfully, he found the bag with all the cash still in it. With a sigh of relief, he got back into the van to start it up when he heard a hesitant voice from the roof of the van say, "Pastor, can I ride inside the van?" What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Youth Group Chronicles. Joining me tonight in the studio, Pastor Cole Clark. And can we call you Pastor Buddy now?
You can call me whatever you want, honestly.
But that's it, right? Cole, you have to back me up here. Is it Pastor Buddy or is it not officially?
In my eyes, he's a pastor.
All right, Pastor Buddy. Because
but I think he's just waiting for that in the mail for the degree.
Okay.
Well, according to Pastor, that's is what he calls me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Pastor Buddy Jenkins is with us
PBJ.
tonight. He is
PBJ.
The last time he was on the show. I don't believe you were a youth pastor at the time, right?
No, I don't think I was.
No, maybe when we did our show at Upper Conference, but before that, I think,
Upper Conference.
Yeah. He is our newest youth pastor at one of our campuses. So that's hats off to you. Round of
He's really
applause
been
in
a
the
youth
chat.
pastor since he was 15.
What'd you say?
He's really been a youth pastor since he was 15. Now.
10 years. I'm going on 10 years.
They call him PBJ.
So we're just working to get some experience on the show, and that's
Yeah.
what we. I think this is our first time ever having two youth pastors at one time.
Dang.
Actually thinking back.
Wow.
I don't think it's ever happened in youth
And
Group
it's called
Chronicles
Youth
history.
Group Chronicles.
Wow.
This is
Yep,
crazy.
something
This is
new
history.
happens
Oh, yeah, I
every single
never
time.
did one with Micah.
No, yeah, we set it up 3 times.
Dang.
No comment.
Yep.
I love you, Micah.
No, I'll call him out right now. He bailed like 3 times. He's in Texas, so it's okay.
He is in Texas.
He's on live.
I hope he's on the live to hear it. If this is your first time listening to the show, this is where people send in their stories about youth ministry, and my guests blind react to them. So let's get this kicked off with a story from David. He said, our youth pastor put together a makeshift escape room for our youth group to try. The room had 2 exits, one into the hallway and one to the outside of the building. After thoroughly inspecting the room, we determined that the door outside was our best bet. The door was one of those emergency exit style doors with a push door handle, but it had been chained shut. We were able to crack it just enough to possibly fit someone through, and one of the guys there had a skinnier build than the rest of us and volunteered to make this escape through the small opening. One problem, there was a fence not too far behind the door that this kid wouldn't have been able to climb if he got out. So we made a plan for a couple of the guys to keep the door held open as much as possible, while several other of our friends, with the help of other friends, and then this friend would stand on the chain so he could boost himself up onto the fence. Except holding the door open while he stood on the chain turned out to be more difficult than expected, and every time the door moved, it caused him to lose his balance. After several attempts, he finally decided to commit and attempted to clear this fence. Unfortunately, shoving hard against the chain caused him to lose his balance again, only this time his leg was already up over the fence. But to make it worse, this was a metal fence that had the decorative spikes on the top. After he jumped, the kid immediately started screaming for us to push him up over the fence. Apparently, when he slipped, his leg and his manhood had gotten caught on the fence spikes and he was hanging from them.
Ooh.
Hold on.
My man was literally dangling by his nuts.
Do you understand the picture, though, of what was going on?
So he was caught by his leg and his...
One leg was over when he slipped. So he fell, and then he slipped, and he was hanging by a spike, essentially.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's... I'm not going to say that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a story where someone's balls dropped out? Wasn't that another story?
There's been a couple.
Every story I'm a part of, somebody's losing their nuts.
I mean, at least from the story, at least it seems like he might just got caught by the skin. But that's
I don't think anything fell out, thankfully.
Nothing fell out.
I think he was okay.
His manhood was strong, man.
Yes. What a way to start. Yes, you're right.
It was strong.
No diddy.
No diddy. No diddy. Nice try, Diddy.
Why are they that sharp? That's a great question. I don't understand why. You ever seen the ones with like the ball on the top?
Right.
I guess for safety reasons. So
honestly, I'm glad. Honestly, there's a lot worse that could have happened.
Like
I mean,
what?
what worse?
I'd love to know what worse.
I'm good.
You're
We're gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, you got to go pretty.
It could have got worse.
just This
He
is
lived to tell the tale.
This is a story from I don't even know how to pronounce this. Brescia? Brescia.
Just offended someone. It's
Yeah, I
fine.
know. I'm so sorry. Everyone knows at this point. So they said during worship one night at youth group, an alcoholic came in from the streets completely out of the blue. That's when he took out a small knife and started threatening one of the boys from our youth group. That's when the boy told him to suck his you-know-what. And it angered the man even more, and he started making more threats with his knife. At this point, everyone was just standing there shocked and silent until eventually one of the guys in charge of the youth group was able to calm him down and tell him to leave the building.
That's it?
And that's the end.
Okay.
That's the end. This sounds pretty normal to me.
Wait, what was the name?
Sounds about right.
What was the name?
Brescia? Yeah.
That's a black church.
Yeah.
And this how I know it's a black
To the
church.
frame.
And it got to be a black church from New York. Like this. Did they tell you a place?
Did not give me a place, but I wonder why a homeless dude was able to walk in the front door.
I feel like it got to be the
Inner
city.
city.
And why I feel
During
like it's
youth
the
group?
city because the number one insult when you're in a
Yeah.
heated argument, heated dispute
Yeah.
is SMD.
He threw the frank.
I could see it right now.
He threw the frank.
A homeless person with a knife, they're yelling, back up, there's something up. That's number one insult.
Mm-hmm.
All right, some
Sorry,
detective
that's
work.
my
We were able to
analysis.
figure it out.
He threw the frank, man.
This is from Toby. While at a large youth event, the pastor wanted to give an example of the cycle many of us go through when making decisions. To set the scene, he told us he was the only one working at a shift at Subway one day when he suddenly had to take a number 2. He added that the only available bathrooms are shared between all the surrounding shops and weren't very close to his store.
Okay.
So basically, he couldn't leave to go to the bathroom because there was no one else there to take orders. In a panic, he had the bright idea to find a sink where the security cameras wouldn't see him.
Talk about decision making.
And in front of over 400 students, he admitted to using the sink in Subway, in this Subway kitchen as a toilet. He went on to wrap up his example by saying he even had napkins to push it all down the drain.
On behalf of everyone that could have came to the restaurant, just go use the bathroom, bro.
So
Just go use
This was
the
his
bathroom.
sermon example, dude. This is what
Guys,
this was a sermon
he was.
example?
Well, no, he didn't do it, obviously, but he was sharing this as his sermon illustration.
No.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, so I did this. Here's some bad decision making.
unfortunately,
So he
bang. Unfortunately, I know some people who would be like, I had character for staying and not leaving my station. Like, I'll do whatever it takes to never let a customer.
I feel
behind.
like, that's crazy. He could have just left it there, and then he's like, "Let me
Left
squish
it-
it down the drain.
Why would he leave it in the Subway sink?
At least pick it up."
You know what's even worse? Is I used to inspect subways.
Yeah,
Well, I know that's. I
read.
read this story. I'm like, I got to save this for Pastor
I
Cole because
literally used to
it will hit home.
See, I'm curious.
Maybe people were doing that in your
Okay,
stories, bro.
here's
That's
the,
crazy.
Maybe it was one of your stories.
so here's this question: would you rather
was
have
definitely
just pooted your pants, booted your pants, or do that?
Do that.
Left and went to the bathroom and
Yeah.
made one customer mad.
Yeah, that.
Like,
That
Option
Ken would have
C.
been on you and be like, Cole, listen,
You shouldn't have been
Nah,
listen,
dude.
Cole,
We're down
you
safe.
gotta
It must-
follow the.
I could dissect this situation real quick. Like, they're either at a mall or a shopping center location because that's the only time
He's
you
about
would
to break
share a
it down.
bathroom. And it must be low staffed or a low hour because like there's not many moments that you have only one person working.
Mm-hmm.
So
I did think that was a little rare, yeah.
realistically, if there's only one person on
Just
shift,
put a bat like the
there's
little
probably
clock.
no one coming.
Be back in
And did
15
he-
minutes.
Like
Did he go poop,
a minute and a half?
push it down
2
the
minutes?
drain, then went back to making subs?
yeah.
Or yo,
Yeah.
this man was making boo boo subs.
Dang. Dang. And it smelled in the back room.
Someone said waffle stomping. Yeah, I figured out what that term was very recently, actually.
Bro, that's
Isn't that when you do it in the shower?
Yeah.
the fact that this made its way to a pulpit is just the crazy and the organization. I was working for Subway. That just
working
sounds
for
like a
Subway.
lawsuit.
That would go to the grave with me. I'm not telling nobody.
I know it's not like he had to share that story.
But then I'm curious,
buddy.
what's the example?
Buddy, it's the same dude who pooped in the sink that I would totally expect to tell the story.
That's true. But then I'm curious, what's the example? Like, what were you preaching? To be
That's
like,
what. Yeah, I was
What
trying to
were
figure
you
that out. It
preaching,
was something
like-
about the
Decisions?
decision, the cycle of making decisions was what they said.
Right.
Yo,
No
you
one
could've
forgot
made-
that sermon. Nobody.
No.
I still wouldn't have do nothing about nothing.
If you're gonna say something that memorable, make it about someone else.
it's true.
Like just be like, I knew a guy.
I knew a guy.
I knew a guy used to work for Subway.
Okay, someone said, why does this hit home for Cole? Not because he's done it. He used to inspect subways.
Yeah. I've never,
Yeah, and his
I've
dad
never-
owned like 5 billion Subways.
I've
Yeah,
never pooped
yeah.
in a sink.
No.
But
What about for the company? If it meant that you were going to get a sale?
absolutely not. There's
This is a story from Colin. And if you guys have stories you want to send in, stories@ygcpodcast.com is where you can send them in. But they said, after a week of camp, our youth pastor brings all the students on stage to discuss their experience in front of the entire congregation.
Oof, this is gonna go bad.
But this week was packed with a bunch of first-time visitors because they were also doing baptisms. To keep things light at first, our youth pastor asked all the students, if you could hang out with any historical figure, who would it be? An immediate smile rose from one of the students as he went on to say, I would pick either Teddy Roosevelt or Ronald Reagan because surviving an assassination is one of the coolest things you can do right now. A gasp obviously arose from the crowd because this was a couple weeks after Trump had been shot.
This is recent.
The youth pastor, unaware of how to respond, blurted out the line, yeah, I guess it's pretty trendy right now, which did not help his case. However, that's not where it ended. As if the room could not get any more tense, this student went on to say how Roosevelt got shot and then continued to speak, which was then followed by the line, I'd like to see our pastor do that. You could literally hear a pin drop.
Sheesh. Some pent up anger in that comment. Someone didn't get their expenditure approved.
Wait,
It was the kid that said it, though.
Oh, the
Wait, he
kid
said-
said
The
it?
kid said it.
that he would like to see his pastor get.
He's like, yeah, Teddy Roosevelt
assassination attempt
got
and
shot, and then he got up and continued speaking, and then he's like, I'd like to see our pastor do that.
Hey,
I mean, he might be really believing him. He's like, yo, I want
I-
to
I don't know.
get assassination.
This sounds like a church
for the
kid.
gospel.
This sounds like a church kid.
He didn't like the pastor is what it was.
Yeah, this sounds like a kid who's like, he's like, you're just been around too long. I don't like you. You always ask me to come to the front. You always ask me to do stuff I don't want to do.
You asked me to invite friends.
I'd like to see you get
It's
assassinated.
time for you to go.
But live though. But live.
But live.
But like keep preaching.
All right, this is what we're calling the mailbag segment. This is where we take a few questions from listeners and we answer them on the show. So if you guys have questions you want to send in, questions@ygcpodcast.com is where you can send them in. And we're trying to tie in some youth pastor questions. And guess what? We have 2 youth pastors here to answer these questions for you guys. So this is from T. Giles 116. What steps do you take to prevent burnout as a youth pastor? Buddy, you want to go first?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll go look
Yeah.
at you. What steps I take to not have burnout as a youth pastor? I would say I'm like super intentional with my time. So I try to have a purpose for everything that I do. I would say most importantly, that I'm making sure my own spiritual walk is taken care of. So reading my Bible daily, praying daily, resting. I know, especially at our church, resting is like a curse word.
Yeah.
but just taking time to rest and adjust, be intentional with my time, make sure I'm, spiritually feeding myself with the word, praying. But I can be on go. I don't really worry about burnout because I could just run on a million. So, but I try to prioritize rest though.
Fair.
Play 2K. Misha doesn't like when I play 2K. But
Didn't I see a video of you absolutely scraping Jay-Z on 2K?
yeah.
Yeah.
I had to put him through. I think
I know, I saw
reliving those
I think I
moments.
beat him by like 80, but everybody got to go through it. Everybody got to go through it.
Cole, what you got?
I would say pretty similar to Buddy. If I could something that we just kind of went through a lot of discipleship books. So just to put some language to it, I would say Sabbath solitude, and scripture would be
Yeah.
like 3 things that would prevent you from burnout. So like making sure you take a day of rest, making sure that you actually quiet yourself enough to listen to God. So a lot of like, God, we pray for this, God, we pray for that. Like getting away and just shutting up for like 30 minutes to an hour a week at least. And then if I could say, like, I heard a preacher say it like this, like if Christians would just read their Bible every day, 80% of all their problems in their life would go away. So I would say like reading your word keeps you pure. It keeps you hungry. It keeps you focused on your calling. And so I would say if you do those things, you should be able to just keep going and going and going and going and going. Some people have a higher propensity to go longer, and
Like
some
Buddy?
people have a little less, but everyone needs to fall somewhere within that.
That's fair. Yeah. Next question. What is your favorite podcast? And they put in this excluding Youth Group Chronicles, of course.
Dang.
Do you listen to podcasts much? Because I go back and forth on like
I
between
listen to a
books and
lot.
podcasts.
Yeah. For me, I would say it would have to be between. I like With the Perrys.
Oh, that's actually good.
That's a good one.
Yep.
I listen to a lot of sports podcasts. There's one called Numbers on the Board. It's like a basketball podcast.
That's fun. Yeah.
One of my favorite YouTubers has one. It's called A Speakeasy. I like that one a lot too. I don't know. Misha, what else do we watch? Everything. I would say those are probably the good handfuls.
What do you like, Cole?
I
Ruslan.
listen to a lot of Ruslan.
Yeah.
I like Ruslan's like, hour-long videos with like some of the theological people.
Shout out Ruslan. He's been on Youth Group
Love
Chronicles.
Ruslan.
Go listen to the episode.
I love Ruslan. I would say like spiritually, if I had a spiritual pick, I probably listen to his most in the Christianity world, to be honest with you. Then I think like motivationally, probably like Jocko Willing. Then like sports wise, I listen to dirt bike stuff. Hope MX. Like 4 hours of dirt bike sports stuff.
There's this one I've started. He doesn't have a podcast to my knowledge, but he's on a lot. I love Chris Voss's stuff.
Chris Voss fire. I've read his
Fire.
book.
Yeah, it's a good book.
Fire. Never split the difference.
This is from Shay Renee, I believe. Opinions on youth group kids dating each other. Yes or no, or it depends.
I mean,
not that you can really control it.
Yeah,
but
they're gonna date regardless. Yeah. But I mean, I'm a pretty straight shooter, so I just be like, what's even the point? I just love this so much, and we're just really like we really just click, and I just love them. I'm like, you can't even wipe your butt right. What do you mean love them? So they're gonna date regardless what you say to them. But I think it's just allowing them to make their own mistakes, giving them the truth, asking them questions that will make them think about what they're doing. Because a lot of times they don't think about what they're doing. They're just feeling emotions and just doing stuff. So I think as long as you create a space that they feel comfortable to come to you about and that they want to talk to you about those things, and as long as obviously you create a space where you allow them to come, but also give them some good truths in love, I think that's the best you can do. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to control people's lives. We want to help them learn to live out the things properly on their own. So they're always going to do what they want to do.
Yeah,
but
not
just
much stopping it.
Just keep telling them the truth, love them, even when they still choose to go back to that boy or girl 10 billion times. Still love them, still tell them the truth. Be about them.
I think Buddy's right. I think they're going to date regardless. I would say, like, as a youth pastor, we're coaches, not bosses. So, like, our goal is to, like, guide them, lead them, and move into a place where we've been given, like Buddy said, the permission to have input on their life. And so I think, like, trying to take control of that just because you have a position in their life immediately is probably a terrible idea. Especially if they actually like go through with not dating somebody. Like, you're going to be the reason they don't date somebody, and they're going to let that person know. And they're also probably going to use that as the reason they would want to go back. So, I mean, we have a lot of teachings on like dating, and it basically just goes back to purpose. So like, if we can center them on their purpose, then they'll probably realize that they don't even know where they're going or what they're doing. Is probably not appropriate time to like be dating somebody in their life. And, my mom used to tell it to me like this, like, what are you going to do? Go on a play date? Like when I was younger, so, but yeah, buddy's right. Just coaching them, loving them, and they're going to do it anyway. And the ones that are serious will hear you and they'll get centered on purpose and won't do it. And the ones who aren't, just love them through.
Last question here. Where did you meet your spouses? Both you guys are married, myself included. I'll go first. I met Sierra at our church picnic, actually.
Oh.
Yeah. At Harris Hill.
Did you eat the food?
What's that?
Did you eat the food?
Probably not. I don't do church picnic
Me
food.
either.
Nope. I want to live past my current age.
Dang.
Yes. No, it's
Somebody
it
give a
gets
church.
scary.
Someone give our church's name that's not our church name. So
Oh, right.
drop someone else's church.
Church of the Hill.
I met my wife at the church when I was 15. She was 21.
Crazy.
But yeah, I met my wife at our church too. She was obsessed with me, but thankfully she was obsessed with me for while my brain fully developed. So
This is great.
she stuck with me for the long.
They didn't meet.
And
At that
surprise,
age. I just want to
surprise.
preface that Buddy was not 15.
I'm
just
pretty sure you
kidding.
met at the same place all of us did, right?
Yeah,
He
mine
was
was
13.
That's good.
No, it's good.
It was during college. It was right after I graduated high
She
school.
was the professor. Yo, you guys have sus stories. That's all I gotta say.
Nah, I met her. She went to the Bible college at her church.
Yes. If you guys have questions you want to send into the show, questions at ygcpodcast.com, but we will get back to some stories. This is an anonymous story, and this is, we don't have a name for it, but we're just going to call it the guessing segment, I guess. Basically, I'm going to read the first couple sentences. You guys give me your best guess on what you think is going to happen. They said, we have a no cell phone policy at camp. So when we arrived, I made my way around the campus on a golf cart to collect all the phones. After confiscating them all, I stuck them in a nylon bag and then put them on the floorboard of the golf cart and drove off. So I'm going to end it. Where do you think the story's going? If you had to take a guess.
He put them on the floorboard.
I got it.
What do you got?
Boom. Put him on the floorboard of the golf cart. Started driving around. Did he say what time of night it was?
Mm-mm.
Regardless.
What time it was?
He's got every single kid's phone in the youth group and he
Tosses
puts
them
it
in a
on the
lake.
floor. So he's driving, boom. He decides he's going to show off in the golf cart or do something, takes a sharp turn. They fly out. He runs it over with the golf cart wheel.
That'd be clutch, actually.
Boom, breaks every single phone. Every parent is mad. Every single parent upset. Worst part is they can't even contact their parents themselves. The parents are worried. And it was a disaster.
Buddy?
Okay.
What do you think?
I'm gonna say he's driving, has him on the floorboard. Somehow the bag
This is good.
skips up,
Yeah.
flips under the pedal,
Yep, I knew
gets the
that's
pedal
so
stuck.
good.
Car
Like the
accelerates
brake or the gas? Oh, so accelerates.
No, that's good.
the gas.
As soon as you said it,
Accelerates.
flips up, I'm like, yep.
Then there's one
Okay.
or two scenarios. He either crashes or he jumps out, flies into a pond. Phones and golf cart gone.
Go into the pond.
Is it a nylon bag though?
Is it a nylon bag?
Nylon's like water resistant, right?
I don't know.
That's what you're like. Wouldn't your jackets are like made out of nylon, like rain jackets?
I bet it. I don't know if it was waterproof. They didn't say, but we're about to find out.
That means something happened with water. That's just get that out of the
After
way.
confiscating them all, I stuck them into a nylon bag, put them on the floorboard, and drove off. But while driving away, I turned too hard, and the nylon bag flew out of the cart right under the tire,
Oh my
causing me
gosh,
to
I'm
run over
cracked.
all the phones. But in a panic, I quickly reversed the golf cart
He double back.
Like,
and ran over all the phones a second time.
Oh my gosh, dude. I'm literally cracked.
That was spot on.
I'm literally
guess.
cracked.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Has anyone guessed it before?
Zay's guessed a couple, yeah. A couple people
Not hit the
guessed, but
reverse.
Always
that was a
Zay.
good one.
It's always Zay, the
Yes.
YGC GOAT, man.
Yeah, so people in the chat were saying ran over too. Yep, you guys were right. This is from Aiden. Aiden said, my first year serving at summer camp in Canada,
Mm.
I was still working through some swearing issues.
Mm.
During
Great
one of
time
the
to serve.
games, I ended up getting out, and in my frustration, I said a chain of absolutely heinous and horrendous things,
Mm.
but in Russian.
Oh, okay.
After this string of words, a little girl looked at me and said, I didn't know you spoke Russian.
Dang. little Susie got some words for her parents when she gets back from camp.
What are the chances?
Yeah, that's
Russian. That's crazy to me.
that
I
was
don't know.
a God
Canada's
thing.
like a mixed
They
bag
actually
of
are.
cultures.
Yeah, Southern Canada.
Like there's parts of Canada
Big
like
time.
they wouldn't even understand what I'm saying.
You know, there's
That's
more
true.
people in the state of California than all of Canada. Fun
Really?
fact.
I saw this thing where it's like pretty much 90% of the population of Canada, or maybe 99, is below Washington or something like that because they're all in like Toronto
Yeah.
greater area.
Yep.
Crazy.
Mm. Mm.
This
Fun
is
facts.
this is a story from
Fun facts.
yeah, fun facts. Fun facts with YGC. Ryan said a youth pastor friend of mine accidentally left a bag full of cash at a gas station.
Mm.
Now this was long before cell phones and before you would pay summer camp by credit card ahead of time. Instead, you would bring cash or check to pay for camp when you got there.
Oof.
A couple miles before arriving at camp, he stopped at a payphone to call a parent and tell them that they made it there safely. After getting to camp, a couple volunteers started unloading the luggage from the top of the van, and that's when he went to register and realized that he left the money bag way back in this phone booth. So he quickly ran to the van, told everyone to wait there and that he'd be right back. He drove to the gas station in a hurry, hoping to find this bag of cash. With his foot getting heavier on the accelerator, he was praying at this point that this bag was still there. Thankfully, he found the bag with all the cash still in it.
Mm.
With a sigh of relief, he got back into the van to start it up when he heard a hesitant voice from the roof of the van say, "Pastor, can I ride inside the van?"
Hold up. Dude, what does this story take place, bro? Like 1950? 1960?
90s, 80s, yeah.
I'm like off by 40 years. We're just going to rock with
This
it.
man said 1950, which was
Hey,
that was a black and white silent cartoon.
People are asking what
1980. It was 1987. Back in 87, we could get away with riding with youth kids on the top of the car.
they said. Well, they weren't. You didn't know they were on top. They were unloading
Yeah.
the luggage.
That
And
would
he
be an immediate
Realized.
fire. 2024, that's immediate fire.
People are all also
Yeah,
asking
that's-
bag of cash context. Back in the day, you couldn't pay for camp and 50 campers that you had with you with a credit card. You had to bring all the money for camp
Yeah, look at all these youngins
in
the
a bank
chat.
bag. Yeah, all the youngins in the chat. Believe it or not, it used to be a only cash society.
Believe it or not,
people don't know
the
that.
dollar used to mean something. Dun-dun-dun-dun. That Illuminati noise.
Conspiracies.
All right, this is our Would You Rather segment. This is where we take two stories from this episode and we pit them against each other. The first one is you're at youth camp driving around all the cell phones from your youth group. You run them over twice. It's option one.
Mm.
Option two is Aiden's story where you are bilingual, you know Russian, and you absolutely cuss up a storm right in front of a kid that also knows Russian.
Oh, that's easy. Bilingual. Who gonna believe her?
That's true.
Who gonna believe her?
I don't know
If
which.
you're already sinning,
I know. You're already in that space.
if you're
Who gonna believe
if you're
her?
already sinning,
What
you
you
might
gonna
as well
say?
tell her she's lying.
What you gonna say?
I don't know Russian.
He was cussing. I don't know
What are you
Russian.
talking about? I was speaking in tongues.
I don't know Russian.
I think on a logical level, that's a smart assessment. But I think if they could prove I was cussing, I might just run over the phones.
That's true. Well-
Parents might thank me.
Right, but then again,
No.
you have to pay for all the phones. Like what are you
They
gonna
don't
do?
got Apple Care? Can I pay the Apple Care fee?
It's a bunch of kids. They probably got Androids.
Androids? It's not that much money, Androids.
Yeah, that's
Come
It's
on
a
now.
bag. It's a bag of phones.
How many are actually broke?
Okay, you have to
There's gotta be
change
a
all
few
the
not
screens on 15 phones. That's $70 times 15.
Yeah,
Don't ask
I'm
me what
good.
that is.
I mean, honestly,
look-
but if
pull
I
up the
could,
calculator.
but if I, what I'm saying is like, one is like, are you asking me if I would be a sinner or sinning?
So that's 75.
I don't know if he was a sinner. Let me rephrase that. Sinning,
They said they were
Commi-
still working on it.
clearing that up,
1100.
or paying mad money.
Also, she didn't say she was gonna snitch. She just said,
Morally-
"Oh, I didn't know you speak Russian."
Morally, I have to choose the phones.
Yeah, same here.
Logically,
Buddy doesn't.
logic.
I'm logic.
No.
This is a logic
Morally,
question.
I'm choosing the phone so I can, be pure. Logically, already maybe committing a little bit of a sin there.
It's debatable.
What's one more sin? That's how the devils be talking. What's one more? She lied. I don't know Russian. Could get away with it.
I think,
but that parent's going to be convinced you're wicked.
Yeah.
Well, we don't. But we're assuming that she is telling.
We're assuming that every phone broke.
It's true.
We're assuming every phone broke.
I don't know if you're running over phones and the whole
twice.
I'm gonna be honest though, golf carts, electric,
they're kind of light.
They're not that heavy.
Yeah.
Like I think like there could be a few that get away, and if it's in the dirt, compresses a little bit.
Compressing the grass maybe.
Yeah,
if it was concrete, it's game over. Or
yeah.
Asphalt,
if it was like asphalt, cooked. But honestly, the double back though.
That's what I'm saying. The double back.
Yeah.
And they're not, and the phones aren't neatly laid side by side. There's
there
probably some stacked on top of each other.
I'm just saying, if I had a story where I broke every phone,
Uh-huh.
I might include in the story I double back and broke every phone. So I just feel like crazy story.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of survivors from that. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go with the phones and hope that the church covers it because it was a church event.
Ooh.
Yes.
And hope that the senior pastor told you to confiscate the phones.
Yes. Say I had no choice.
Then it would be over.
Yeah.
But then he'd be like, "You're stupid. Why would you put it on the floor?"
That's also true.
And he'll be like, "Listen, I didn't want it to fall out."
I think so. I'm looking at the chat. Pretty much everyone in the chat is taking option 2. Really tells us where your heart's at, guys. But
dang, come on now.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Youth Group Chronicles. Buddy and Cole, thank you so much for being here, guys. And if you guys have stories you want to send in, stories@ygcpodcast.com is where you can submit them. And if you want to get notified when we go live to be part of an Instagram live and be part of our audience here, you can go to ygcpodcast.com/updates, and you're going to be notified the day that we go live, and you'll never miss one again. So thanks again, guys, and we will see you next week.